I'm totally fine. Did you believe that? I don't know. There's something about saying, I'm fine, or I'm doing fine, or that's fine, that is just very emotionally charged. And I want to talk about it. Hey guys, I'm Jack, and today we're talking about being fine and how this has become such a cultural phenomenon. Like you ask your friend how they're doing and they say that they're fine, and they're not really fine. There's so many memes, there's so many jokes about this four-letter word and what it conveys and what it means. And having gone through some pretty heavy stuff in the last 15 days, uh, I find myself telling people, like, no, I swear I'm fine. I'm doing good. It's okay. And I really do mean it. I think a lot of people hear it and they think like, oh, he's suffering in silence. He's going through such a traumatic point in life and all of this stuff. And I mean, the reality is it's okay to be doing okay. And if I was genuinely at a moment of a crossroads or a real difficulty or a real struggle in my life, I would probably say something. Um, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm not really a super secretive person. I'm not really a very insular. Like, I have a YouTube channel and I talk about everything every single day. So I really don't have a problem expressing my emotions and conveying how I feel and what's going on in my life. So recently, if you don't know, recently I've lost someone very close in my life, and I have a lot of people who are constantly coming up to me and saying, "Hey Jax, how's it going? Are you okay?" And what else are you supposed to respond with? Like, am I supposed to respond with, "Oh, like I'm emotionally devastated, but I'm okay"? And I have to say, like, while I'm incredibly sad and, there will always be these moments of gray where I'm very sad that my friend is gone, I am genuinely doing fine. Like, and that's really not like some side-handed way of saying like help, because I am good. And I tend to remember the good things. This is not my first rodeo, literally or figuratively. I have been through this far too many times for a 28-year-old, but I've learned how to deal with it and the healthy coping strategies. And you know a big part of it is just going on and living your life and remembering the good. And I'm really good at that. I'm quite good at being able to consciously think my way out of a emotional gully or a rut. I'm pretty confident in my abilities, and I don't have any like negative coping strategies. Like, I don't turn to alcohol. I don't, jump to something that is just a short burst of pleasure, to try and feel something. Like, I'm not that kind of person. I don't have an addictive personality, and that's that. But it becomes kind of difficult to explain that to somebody and to explain that to especially my friends and family, because from their perspective, like, my whole world has exploded. And in some ways, yes, that's true. But in other ways, no. Like, I'm a human being. I understand how life and death works. As awful and as unfortunate as it is, we don't get answers. Sometimes people just leave early. And I think from the perspective of my friends and family, they kind of feel as though they're walking on eggshells around me, which they really don't have to. Like, I think maybe that's why I try and dispel a lot of it with humor and with sort of like jokes and, trying to just be myself, because a lot of people feel as though they have to be very careful around me, because if they say the wrong thing, I'll snap, or I'll just start bursting into tears, or any of this kind of stuff. And that's really not who I am. I know some people who mourn and grieve like that, but I'm not one of them. And I always feel even more awkward when someone is trying to be awkward around me and they're trying to be very, very cautious of what they say and how they interact with me. That really sets me off, and I'm just like, don't stop, please, just act normal. Like let's go play video games or, watch reality television. And there isn't anything I can do to really convey to them that I am okay, that I am fine, because in our culture, when someone says that they're fine, it means that they're not actually fine. And it means that there are underlying issues, or there is something that they wish to talk about, or there's a problem. Because when someone is doing genuinely good, they say something like, oh, I'm doing great. Like I just did this, or I just hiked up this mountain, or, my nephew just had a baby, or whatever it is. And when you say you're fine, that is conveying to people that, oh, no, you are not okay. Like you need some help. But sometimes you do just feel fine. Like I don't feel great, but I don't feel terrible either. I am in this middle box. I fit the description really, really well. Sure, things could be better. Things could have gone a lot better this month. However, I'm still alive. I still have my health, kind of. We'll talk about that later. And I love my life, and the story of it sure has some tragedy in it, but it has a lot of joy and a lot of ups and a lot of beauty. So it's very hard to convey to someone when you genuinely just feel fine that you are fine, because they'll take it so negatively, and they'll be like, oh my God, like put them on watch, put them, 24-hour supervised, that sort of thing. But I am good. And a lot of people have a real hard time with that. And then I explain like what I've been through in my life, and they're like, oh, so okay. But sometimes I don't want to have to explain that whole thing. Like I don't want to have to explain my entire 28 years of life and why something like this happening out of the blue is incredibly sad and tragic, but I can also go on with my life as pretty much normal. I'll need to take a few minutes privately by myself. I'm not someone who grieves in public ever. I don't cry in public. I just don't do it. I need that quiet alone time to process stuff. And so I do that, and I take the time, and then I go out in public as normal, because I'm good. I've had my moment. And I think a lot of people are kind of shocked by this, because everyone grieves differently. And it's so hard to convey, like, no, I've actually done the work. I've grieved. I've gone through the process. I've felt my feelings. I've done all the things that they tell you to do in therapy. And I just do them very quietly by myself, because I'm not comfortable, going outside and doing it. And that's just my preference. I know a lot of people say like, no, you should wear your heart on your sleeve and all this stuff. Listen, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I very much, you can look at my face and how I'm doing mood-wise and feeling-wise. There is a difference between wearing your heart on your sleeve and just not wanting to be super emotional in public. And I think a lot of people, especially women, get really confused by me saying that. And I think it is completely healthy, and it's totally fine to, behind closed doors, feel whatever you want to feel and then carry on. And maybe it's the way I was raised, maybe it's toxic masculinity, maybe it's whatever, but it's how I feel comfortable grieving, and it's how I feel comfortable doing my thing. And it really doesn't matter if you have an opinion to the contrary. That is how I feel comfortable. That is what I want to do. And I think a lot of guys get in a lot of heat for saying something along those lines. I think a lot of men really get their heads bitten off because they have their own process to understanding death or tragedy. And while it is totally fine for men to talk about their feelings, and I think it should happen more often, it's also fine for men to just carry on the way they want. And if that's the way they truly feel and believe, leave them to it. I really feel strongly about this, and having to explain to 30 plus people over the last week that I am in fact doing fine has got me thinking about this and this topic, and how difficult it is to actually convey that I'm doing okay. because it's something that a lot of people naturally want to hide. And I know that. I understand that a lot of people try to hide that they are sad and hide what they're going through. But I feel as though I have done the work and I've put the effort in enough that I can say I'm fine. And I really hope everyone believes it, because if I wasn't, I would say. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think. I very much am sorry if you are going through a process like this similarly, or you have in the past. It ain't no fun. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.